With Isekai being the most overproduced genre in the manga and manhwa industry, it's hard. Trust me, it's like really hard to find one that's just not completely trash. Like, I'm just gonna show you some examples if you've never seen those ridiculous manhwa titles. Like, over here we have a classic, Auto Hunting with My Clones, and of course someone thought it would be a wonderful idea to make a manhwa called Leveling Up with Thumbs Up. So as you can see, with manhwa creators seemingly having no idea what to produce anymore, it seems pretty hopeless at first. But as I was digging for some Brain No Tower Gate type bollocks, I struck gold with this manhwa, which at first started out slow, but over time became one of my favorites up there with omniscient reader's viewpoint. Let me introduce you to the beginning after the end. So basically the MC gets introduced to us as someone living in the fantasy world before being reincarnated into another fantasy world, which is honestly a really cool concept to start with because it gives the author space for a lot more world building for both worlds. Anyhow, our MC is called Gray, and he was a king in his past life, and as you continue on with the series, we actually get a lot more information about his past life. But yeah, basically gets assassinated for some obscure reason and gets reincarnated as a boy called Arthur into a continent called Dialtone, which has an extremely cool and well-built magic-based power system, which I'll elaborate on later in the video. Now I know what y'all's first thought is. Doesn't this really interesting premise just devolve into the typical power fantasy? Well, yes, and let me explain. Although he is the only one blessed with a very rare affinity for all 4 elements, throughout his journey he struggles and has a lot of near-death experiences. In typical shonen fashion, he has the highest potential out of all the mortals for the most part, but isn't the strongest at any point in the series so far. In his past life he was a king, with no one close to him and no weaknesses to exploit, but in this life, he has a family and friends he wants to protect, which he would do anything for. Sure, he might get a lot of power-ups, but it never feels like enough for him, as the threats he faces becomes so terrifying at one point that he isn't sure whether he can truly become strong enough in order to be able to protect the ones he loves. Anyhow, enough yapping about Arthur, let's finally talk about the magic-based power system of the manhwa. In Dialtone, around 100 children awaken as mages, so they are pretty damn sought after. You know, it makes me wonder sometimes whether there's actual racism between mages and non-mages or not. Anyhow, that aside, mages have a mana core, which one can draw purified mana from. And the purer the mana core is, the stronger the mages, and the bigger the mana pool is. There are also 6 different core stages divided into 3 other core stages, and basically the brighter it looks, the better it is. Anyhow, got all that? Good, because it's gonna get a bit easier to understand from here. There are 2 types of mages, augmenters and conjurers. Conjurers conjure spells side of their body in typical mage fashion, while augmenters strengthen themselves with the elements, which allows them to have lightning fast reflexes or to imbue elements to their weapons as an example. So yeah, TLDR, augmenters are short range, conjurers long range. Anyhow, another cool concept they use in the power system here is magic beasts, and their ability to pass on their will to their offspring or a mage they really like or are bonded with. And will is basically just a portion of the beast's powers. Think of it like buff Pokemon that you can not only fight with but also borrow their power from. Though the average mana beast is usually just not chill like that. Like, I mean, just look at them. Does this guy look like he's gonna share his will with you? I don't think so. Let's get to the most controversial part of the manhwa, the art style. Now the art style is pretty unusual for a manhwa, but as the art has improved over time, the art style became one of the best I've seen in any medium. But as the artist was at their peak after 180 chapters of adapting the novel, they quit. And so, after a year of hiatus, a new artist came in. And although there has been a lot of hate towards him, I still have hope that the major fights are gonna be amazing. So don't give up on this manhwa yet. It's probably gonna get better, I promise, but it's probably just copium. Now I know y'all are tired of manhwa, manga, or just anime in general, in which all other characters are just cardboard cutouts of the same overproduced characters. Whether it's an overpowered isekai protagonist, or just one of the main side characters. You see it everywhere nowadays. Well, in the beginning after the end, they actually do a really good job of developing even the most irrelevant looking side characters and giving them a major role in the novel and manhwa. Like even Ifstar Favorite III, who was the biggest joke in the series portrayed as a stereotypical manhwa noble, at one point gets a major role in the novel later on. Like it feels like not a single character gets forgotten, and as the series goes on, you can really start to appreciate how much love the creator put not just into his characters, but also the incredible world building of the manhwa. But I can't guarantee that your favorite characters don't get killed off because trust me, the author is not afraid to kill off beloved characters. As a whole, the world of the beginning after the end is way more geographically developed than most manhwas or even mangas you see nowadays. At the start of the series, Arthur introduces us to the layout of the continent of major historical conflicts, and the best thing is there's an official map of Dialtone online. I don't know where it originates from, but I heard it's official from Reddit, and of course it's impossible for people to spread misinformation on the internet, especially on Reddit, so I think we're safe safe here. Anyhow, if that's your thing, you can also just geographically follow author's journey throughout Dekathan and complain about inconsistencies to the author. He also explores every area of Dekathan and shows us how extremely different cultures of the beginning after the end are. But anyways, I'm not gonna bore you with more world building, so let's talk about the aspect this manga absolutely dominates. Badass character entries. In the corner of my eye, I saw it. The unmistakable figure of a winged beast. One that every adventure, every person had hoped to catch a glimpse of. A dragon. As impressive and awe-inspiring the dragon was though, my heart began to truly tremble in fear when I saw the boy below it, each step he took displaying the subtlest yet most unshakable confidence I had ever seen. And seeping from him, surrounding him like an aura, was a blatant rage, so fierce and violent that uncontrolled I felt sure it would burn me to ashes. This is just one of the incredibly badass character entries this manhwa has to offer. I genuinely haven't seen a novel or manhwa come even close to giving me the hype I feel just reading a single page from a manhwa or novel. What separates this manhwa's character entries from others is that in the beginning after the end we see the MC enter from a side character's perspective, which makes it so much more unexpected and hype. Some of you may say that I'm overglazing this manhwa, but I haven't seen a single person read the beginning after the end and genuinely dislike it in any way. So if you just have a tiny bit of curiosity what this manhwa has to offer, please check it out. You're not gonna be disappointed, I promise. Anyway, please like and subscribe!